Your pain had a purpose. Life isn't just about comfort and ease. It's about trials that challenge us, battles we never anticipated, and moments that put our faith to the ultimate test. If you've ever encountered a narcissist, someone who drained your spirit, tested your patience, and tried to break you, then you understand this struggle. But listen carefully. You were never the victim. You were the lesson. God placed you in their life with divine intention. He doesn't make mistakes. That fire wasn't meant to consume you, but to refine you. It wasn't sent to destroy you, but to elevate you. Your victory didn't come from their change of heart or their admission of wrongdoing. It came from your strength, your resilience, and your unwavering faith. So why did God allow this experience? What was He teaching you? And how have you emerged victorious on the other side? Number 1, refined through life's trials. Like gold tested in fire, your struggles were never meant to break you, but to purify and strengthen you. Life isn't about walking an easy path or basking in endless sunshine. It's about facing hardships, walking through valleys so dark that you question whether the light will ever return. It's about battles that arise unexpectedly, storms that shake your foundation. Yet in the midst of the storm, God was refining you. Some of you have endured trials so intense they nearly swallowed you whole. You were placed in the presence of someone who drained your energy, twisted your kindness against you, and made you question your worth. But through it all, God was shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more unshakable in faith. At first, you believed it was love. You thought it was destiny, something meant to be. But what you didn't realize was that your presence in their life wasn't random. God doesn't make mistakes. He didn't place you there to suffer, to be controlled, or to be broken. He placed you there to be tested, to be refined, just like gold in the fire. Gold isn't found shining in its natural state. It's buried deep, hidden beneath layers of earth, and must endure intense heat to be purified. Only then does it reveal its true brilliance. And you, my friend, were in that refining fire. That toxic relationship, that betrayal, that manipulation, it wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to shape you. God doesn't give His strongest warriors easy battles. Instead, He puts them in situations that test their faith, stretch their patience, and mold their character into something unshakable. Every tear you shed, every sleepless night filled with self-doubt, every moment you questioned your worth, it was all part of His process. He was stripping away the insecurity, the need for validation, the tendency to settle for less than His perfect plan for you. And look at you now. You are stronger. You are wiser. You are no longer the same person who walked into that storm. The narcissist thought they had control over you, but in reality, they were unknowingly being used for your growth. What they intended for harm, God transformed into your breakthrough. They tried to make you question your worth, but instead, you discovered it. They thought they were breaking you, but instead, they sharpened you. They never believed you would leave, but you did. And now you don't just survive, you thrive. So never look back on that chapter as wasted time. It wasn't wasted. It was preparation. It was your training ground. God was preparing you for something far greater. And now, you carry the wisdom but not the weight. You walk forward in victory, not in regret, because what was meant to break you only made you shine even brighter. If you believe that God was refining you, not destroying you, comment below. I am stronger than ever. Number 2. The role of the narcissist in your growth. You were the lesson. When you first met the narcissist, you might have thought it was destiny, that they were meant to be part of your life. And you were right, but not in the way you imagined. You weren't sent to them to be loved, cherished, or to build a future together. You were sent to be the lesson. You were never the victim. You were the revelation they never expected. Some people go through life never truly understanding love. They only know control, manipulation, and deception. They are lost in darkness, consumed by selfishness. Then you walked in, with your pure heart, your forgiving nature, and your ability to give without expecting anything in return. You were unlike anyone they had encountered before. You didn't play their games. You didn't reinforce their toxic habits. Instead, you showed them something real, true, unconditional love. But instead of appreciating it, they took advantage of it. They drained your energy, tested your patience, and fed off your kindness. Yet despite everything, you stayed true to who you were. You gave. You forgave. You believed in them, even when they didn't deserve it. And that's what made you different. The narcissist thought they were using you, but in reality, God was using you to reveal who they truly were. They believed they were in control, but what they failed to see was that you were sent into their life as a mirror, a reflection of everything they lacked. You were a living reminder of what real love, genuine compassion, and true selflessness looked like. And deep down, they knew it. That's why they fought so hard to break you, because your presence forced them to confront the truth about themselves. You exposed the emptiness within them, the darkness they tried to hide. But here's something they will never admit. They will never forget you. No matter how much time passes, no matter how many people they try to replace you with, you will always be the one that got away. The one they couldn't fully control. The one who walked away and became better, not bitter. And you didn't lose them. They lost you. You were the rare one, the one who loved without conditions, the one who stayed even when it was hard, the one who fought for something they were never worthy of in the first place. And now they have to live with the truth that they mistreated something precious. But let me ask you this, was it really a loss for you? No, it was a lesson. A lesson in discernment, a lesson in self-worth, a lesson in understanding that not everyone deserves the love you have to give. You were never meant to stay in their life. You were meant to show them what they will never have again, and that is victory. Your strength broke their control. The narcissist wanted you to believe you were weak. They wanted you to think that without them, you would fall apart. That without their approval, you had no worth. They whispered lies, planted seeds of doubt, twisted reality to make you question everything, including yourself. But let me tell you something right now. If you were so weak, why did they have to try so hard to break you? Deep down, they knew the truth. You were always stronger than them. From the very beginning, they saw something in you that unsettled them. True strength, unwavering faith, and a power they couldn't control. That's why they had to manipulate you, break you down, and keep you doubting yourself. Because if you ever truly recognized your worth, you would walk away. And the moment you did, it became a battle. A battle for your mind. A battle for your identity. A battle for your faith. For a time, they had you convinced. They made you believe their approval mattered, that their love was worth chasing, that if you just tried a little harder, gave a little more, maybe then they would finally see your worth. But hear this today. You were never the one who needed to change. You were never the problem. You were the one holding on. The one giving. The one loving with a heart that was never meant to be toyed with. And now, you finally see the truth. Your freedom. Look at where you are now. You are free. Free from their manipulation. Free from their mind games. Free from the exhausting need to prove yourself to someone who was never capable of understanding your worth. They may have thought they won. They may have believed they had the final say. But what they never realized was this. The moment you stopped reacting, the moment you refused to engage in their chaos, the moment you chose peace over their control, you shattered their illusion of power. Because their power was never real. It was a fragile illusion, built on deception, lies, and your willingness to stay. And now? Now, you've reclaimed your power. You walk with confidence, no longer seeking their validation, no longer bound by their words, and no longer carrying the weight of their manipulations. Let me tell you something. The narcissist will never say it out loud, but they feel your absence. Oh yes, they do. No matter how much they try to act like they've moved on, no matter how much they pretend you never mattered, deep down, they know the truth. They lost someone irreplaceable. And you didn't lose anything. You gained clarity, you gained wisdom, you gained freedom. You walked away, and in that moment, you won. That is victory. Number 3. Lessons from the fire, wisdom you'll carry forever. Some lessons in life can only be learned through fire. Lessons no words could ever teach. These are the lessons that require you to walk through the valley, endure the storm, and emerge on the other side forever changed. And you've walked through that fire. You've stood in the presence of deception. You've carried the weight of manipulation. You've survived the slow erosion of your self-worth at the hands of someone who was never meant to keep you. At first, you didn't see the red flags. You trusted their words, believed in their actions, and gave them the benefit of the doubt, again and again. Why? Because that's who you are. You love deeply, you forgive freely, you see the best in people, even when they can't see it in themselves. But here's the truth you now understand. Not everyone deserves that kind of love. Not everyone is worthy of the kindness in your heart, the patience in your spirit, or the generosity of your soul. Some people only take and never give. Some people destroy and never build. Some people know nothing but consumption, draining everything in their path until nothing is left. And now you can recognize them. You've learned what manipulation looks like, not just in the obvious ways, but in the quiet, creeping moments where control masks itself as love. You've learned that real love never asks you to shrink yourself. It doesn't require you to constantly prove your worth. It doesn't punish you for setting boundaries. It doesn't twist the truth, shift the blame, or leave you questioning your own sanity. Now, you know the signs. The moment someone makes you feel small, the moment someone chips away at your confidence, the moment someone makes you believe you're both too much and not enough at the same time. That is your warning. That is the moment you walk away. Number 4. Your worth was never in their hands. You've learned that your love is not meant to be wasted on those who see it as weakness. Your kindness is not an open invitation for people to take advantage of you. Your presence is not a privilege just anyone gets to have. And most importantly, your worth does not come from them. It does not come from their validation, their approval, or their acceptance. It comes from the one who created you, the one who called you by name before you ever took your first breath. Now, when you look in the mirror, you don't see someone abandoned. You see someone set apart. You see someone sharpened by experience, strengthened by pain, and elevated by wisdom. You see someone who will never again tolerate less than they deserve. And that is something the narcissist will never understand. They will never understand the power of someone who has walked through the fire and emerged stronger. They will never grasp the strength of someone who has endured darkness yet still carries light. Yes, they may have taken your time, they may have drained your energy, they may have even stolen your tears, but they did not take your future. They did not take your purpose. They did not take the wisdom that now lives inside of you. And that wisdom is your armor. It is your protection. It is the reason why you will never again be deceived in the same way. So no, you did not lose. You gained everything. You walked away, not just as a survivor, but with clarity, with the ability to see people for who they truly are, with the discernment to protect your peace, and with the strength to never again hand your power to someone who is never worthy of it. And that is the greatest victory of all. The fire that refined you. God used the pain to prepare you. He does not send his strongest warriors into easy battles. He does not place his chosen ones in comfort and ease. He sends them into the fire, not to burn them, but to refine them. And when he allowed you to walk through the pain, the deception, and the heartbreak of that toxic relationship, it was never to punish you. It was to prepare you. At first it felt like suffering. It felt like endless prayers going unanswered. It felt like a test you never asked for. You cried out to God, asking why. Why he allowed you to love someone who couldn't love you back. Why he let you endure the weight of manipulation. Why he kept you in a situation that drained your soul. God was never ignoring you. He was refining you. Next, listen closely. God was never ignoring you. He was working. He was shaping you. He was burning away the parts of you that once accepted less than what he intended for your life. He was stripping away the insecurities that made you believe you had to prove your worth to someone who was never capable of seeing it. Think about gold. It doesn't come out of the earth shining. It is covered in impurities. It must be placed in intense heat, melted down and refined, so that everything that does not belong is burned away. And that is exactly what God was doing in your life. That fire, it wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to transform you. You were never alone. You may have felt abandoned, but you were never alone. God was with you in the fire. Every sleepless night, He was there. Every moment of doubt, He was watching. He saw every tear. He heard every prayer. And while you thought He was silent, He was preparing you for something greater. Because if God had let you stay where you were, you would have settled for less than His best. If He had answered your prayer the way you wanted, you would have remained in a place that was never meant to hold you. So He allowed the truth to reveal itself. He let you see the narcissist's heart for what it really was, not to break you, but so you would finally be free. And now, look at yourself. You are stronger. The very pain that once kept you bound has become the thing that set you free. Number 5. You see love through wisdom, not desperation. You no longer see love through desperation. You see it through wisdom. You no longer chase validation, you walk in confidence. You no longer shrink yourself to fit into places you were never meant to be. You stand tall, knowing exactly who you are. And that is what the enemy fears the most. Because now you cannot be deceived. Now you cannot be manipulated. Now you understand the power of your worth. So don't ever look back with regret. What you went through was not wasted. It was not meaningless. It was preparation. God has greater things ahead for you, but first, He needed you to see yourself the way He has always seen you, strong, chosen, victorious. And now, you shine like gold. You are not the same person. Pause for a moment and look at yourself, not with the eyes of who you were, but with the clarity of who you have become. You are not the same person who walked into that storm. The version of you that once excused red flags, ignored the whispers of your own intuition, fought tirelessly for someone who was never going to protect your heart, that person no longer exists. There was a time when their words had power over you. Their approval dictated your peace. Their affection, given and taken at their convenience, kept you grasping for something that was never truly there. But that time is over. You do not walk the same. You do not think the same. You do not love the same, because the fire that was meant to destroy you has instead burned away everything that no longer serves you. And now, you are free. It was never rejection, it was redirection. At first, you didn't see it as transformation. It felt like loss, it felt like rejection, it felt like the very foundation of who you were was being shaken. You questioned your worth, you questioned your love, you questioned whether you were the problem, whether you weren't good enough. Whether if you had just been a little different, more patient, more forgiving, more accommodating, then maybe, just maybe, they would have loved you the way you deserved. But hear this today. God never intended for you to stay in that place. He never intended for you to shrink yourself just to fit into a space that was never meant to hold you. He never intended for you to keep pouring into a well that could never satisfy your soul. So He allowed the breaking, He allowed the fire, He allowed the storm to strip away the parts of you that once accepted less than what He had for you. Now you walk differently. Not in fear, not in desperation, but in confidence. You no longer cling to relationships out of loneliness. You no longer entertain people who drain your spirit. You no longer settle. Your heart, once so eager to prove its worth, now stands firm in the knowledge that you were valuable all along. Your love, once given freely to those who only knew how to take, is now guarded with wisdom and discernment. Your spirit, once entangled in confusion, now walks in clarity, power, and freedom. And the narcissist? They don't recognize you anymore, because the version of you they once controlled no longer exists. The person who tolerated deception, who excused manipulation, who believed empty words over repeated actions, that person is gone. They thought they were breaking you, but in reality they were building you. They thought they were taking away your power, but in reality they were pushing you into your purpose. And now, you walk in a strength they will never understand. You are no longer the person who begs to be chosen. You are no longer the person who justifies mistreatment. You are the person who walks away when God tells you it is time. And That is what true transformation looks like. There was a time when you thought you had lost everything. A time when you sat in silence, replaying the past, wondering if you had wasted years on someone who never truly saw you. The enemy whispered lies in your ear, convincing you that all that time, all that effort, all that love was for nothing. But hear this today, your past was not wasted, your pain was not pointless, your story is far from over. Everything you went through, everything you endured, was preparation. God never allows pain without purpose. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of self-doubt, it was all shaping you for what is ahead. Train for the future. Think about a soldier before battle. Do they step onto the battlefield untrained? Do they face the enemy without preparation? No. They go through relentless training. They are tested, pushed, broken down, and rebuilt so that when the time comes, they are ready. And that is exactly what God was doing in your life. He was training you. He was strengthening you. He was preparing you for the future He has already written. The enemy is a liar. The enemy wanted you to believe that your best days were behind you, that because of this experience you would never love the same again, that you would always carry the scars, that you would never fully heal. But the devil is a liar. Your best days are not behind you, they are ahead of you. The love you deserve, it is coming. The opportunities you have prayed for, they are on their way. The life that God has ordained for you, it is waiting for you to step into it. And the only reason you are ready for it now is because of what you have been through. You had to go through it. You had to walk through that fire so you could emerge refined. You had to experience counterfeit love so you would never again settle for anything less than real love. You had to endure manipulation so you would never again allow anyone to play with your mind or your heart. You had to lose them because God's plan for you was never about keeping you in a cycle of pain. Your past was preparation, not punishment. It was never about keeping you in a place that did not align with your purpose. God allowed you to go through that season so you could finally understand the worth He placed inside of you. And now you move differently. You no longer chase, you no longer beg to be chosen, you no longer tolerate anything that drains your soul, because now you know who you are. What the enemy meant for harm, God used for good. The enemy thought he could use that person to break you, but instead God used them to transform you. He used them to show you what you will never again accept. He used them to sharpen your discernment, strengthen your spirit, and free you from unhealthy cycles you didn't even realize you were in.